of Ivern, let's see how the teams decide to deal with him today, because he was picked a lot. And that's kind of what you were going towards, a little bit of a frog in your throat there saying ban him away. Maybe the teams will adapt to that today, maybe not. We did see a lot of Graves bans on day number 1, and we're going to be seeing that again here on day number 3 as Lee and Graves banned away by the Canids. Rampage taking Ash and Elise off the table.
And when you go over and you look at Group B, what happened yesterday was a lot of Ivern bans, Graves being left up, and this typically happens with my experience with scrims because you have 2 separate groups, right? You have one group that has all these loaded AD carries, like Yotori, BRTT, etc., and Zeitnot, right? And then you go over into scrims, and what's happening in these scrims? Oh, they're playing Ivern on these teams, right? And so a lot of teams from Group B will start banning Ivern, but the teams in Group A are playing against these great junglers like Levi in Group B, so they're banning Graves, and they're leaving things up like Ivern, which is now still left up.
The Ivern has made it through, but so has Lulu, the other offender in those shield compositions that we see take over and protect the AD carry. Lulu will be locked in first and foremost on the side of Rampage, as the Red Canids are thinking about that Darius that we got to see earlier, but now switching it over towards the Echo. Just in case you guys missed it, the final bans were also Syndra from Rampage and Galio from the Canids.
Yeah, now if you're red, Ivern, Caitlyn, lock it in. Don't take your time. Don't do this to me. When Lulu is up and so is Karma, Ivern is so unique in his role, nothing else really fulfills that same type of jungler in the entire game of League of Legends. Whereas Lulu and Karma actually have some parity between them in terms of what they offer to a team that wants to protect an AD carry, and I think that Ivern being locked in, it makes 100% sense.
Well, the Canids were listening. They agree. They're going to lock in Ivern first for themselves. Still got one more pick to go. Have to see what they want to complement that one with here nice and early. You already mentioned the Caitlyn, but it looks like they're going to go with a different form of long range, grabbing the Varus instead.
Yeah, okay, that's all right, because if you want to take the Varus away from Yotori, remember it was banned against him, and it was also picked by him, and he had a pretty good game on it previously. The last time the Red Canids played against each other, played Rampage picked Varus Lee Sin, so they're taking away one of those champions there with the Varus, making sure they don't have that, because it was a bit of a problem with the engage. Especially since Ashe got banned away from Rampage as well. If you want to have an AD carry in the meta that engages, Varus is the other one that's left, since Jhin kind of fell by the wayside.
Here's something interesting we might get to see. Kog'Maw.
I like it.
Locked in for Rampage. They realized that they got the Lulu. That's normally one of the staples for the Juggermaw, so why not grab the little guy to go with it and see what you can make happen? Kha'Zix's going to be the other pickup for these guys before the second round of bans come in, as the Red Canids are thinking about Aurelion Sol.
Ooh. Yeah, the Kha'Zix is kind of because you have Elise, you also have Graves, Lee Sin, and Ivern all taken away. A lot of people have dropped the Rengar since the damage nerfs, and nice, we get Dude on the Thresh again.
Yet again, the man works magic with this champion. Should be a lot of fun to see here if he plays it like he did on day number 1, but only time will tell.
It's going to be a rough lane for him. I like how he does actually play the Thresh alongside a low mobility AD carry for BRTT. Gives him some protection, but right now, it's very interesting because now he's up against a Lulu and a Kog'Maw. People will say, oh, Kog'Maw scales, Kog'Maw gets that late game point. That's true, but ever since a long time ago, Kog'Maw actually has a pretty oppressive lane phase.
And one thing that you also want to remember about the side of the Red Canids is these guys talk about they want to play towards their bottom lane, right? You want to get BRTT off to a start where he's able to do things after laning phase ends as you transition towards that mid game. They want to set him up with Dude's variable champion pool and allow him to be mobile, allow him to do what he needs to do, get around the map, get fed, get big, and be effective. And although that Thresh will help him with the mobility issue, the lane matchup may be somewhat of a stumbling stone.
Yeah.
Stumbling point, I should say, for these guys early on.
People stumble over stones too.
Yeah, stumble over all kinds of stuff. I've tripped over a rock before.
Yeah, just the other day. Well, I like how Red, they're kind of abandoning the protect the AD carry composition, quote unquote, because they don't have the Karma. The Lulu got taken away. They got the Ivern, and now they're banning things that you would want to pick as a protect the AD carry composition. You would want the Shen, you would want the Gragas, but instead they're saying, Rampage, you don't get these. We're going to go with something a little bit more aggressive here. And that could be a flex pick there, mid or top there for Talkers and Robo.
I like that lock-in, making your opponents keep guessing about what they want to lock in against that, because we've seen Fizz be very effective in both solo lanes before.
Yeah.
Bruiser style in the top lane, building a Trinity Forest, Blade of the Ruined King and tank items, or the classic AP one-shot somebody Fizz in the mid lane.
Oh. Speaking of top laners and protection, this is most likely going to be a Tahm Kench for Evie in the top lane.
That is one of his pocket picks. That's one of his comforts. That's something that he plays that not a lot of other people do.
Yeah, it actually gets banned against him a decent amount over in the LJL in Japan. Even as recent as a few weeks back, right before their finals, it was banned. It's been banned as well during this tournament. The last time the Canids played against Rampage 2 days ago, Tahm Kench was one of the bans that the Canids threw.
And it's very effective in a protect the whatever composition. You gobble up Kog'Maw, if somebody's able to dive on top of him. If Fizz gets in there, munch him to safety, get him out of danger, spit him back out, allow him to reposition, and continue firing off those artillery barrages. Ari's going to be the last pickup for Rampage.
Yep, Ari, and then it looks like the LeBlanc cover here for Talkers. Love that pick. This is going to be a little bit of a 1-3-1 for the Red Canids. They have the Fizz, great split-pushing champion. He'll win that matchup a bit in the top lane. He'll have to do enough damage, though, because the Tahm Kench got to know these matchups. If this is a matchup that you're unfamiliar with, Tahm Kench is one of those champions that as soon as he starts punishing you, you go, oh crap, I can't win this trade, and you're screwed because you can't get away.
Yeah, he sticks to people like glue. The tongue lashes with the massive amounts of slows. As soon as he gets the stacks, he eats you up, spits you out on the other side of him.
Stun. Exactly.
It's really, really difficult to deal with if you're not familiar with exactly how those windows of power open and close. But for Robo and the Red Canids, hopefully they do understand exactly how that matchup's going to flow.
And the Red Canids, it's been an interesting tournament for them because in the 3 games that we've seen Dude have really good games. We've seen Robo take over some games on things like Darius and smack people. And then we've also had Napon in the jungle on things like Elise get off to a deathless start with like 4 or 5 kills to his name. So everybody on this team has really had some standout performances. You think back to Robo with the Jarvan locking people down for BRTT's Jinx just the other day. So everybody's kind of fired on all cylinders at some point. It just hasn't been simultaneous, and that's what you're looking for here from the Red Canids, is can they all perform in a game, crush Japan, move on to continue their streak, and get towards Supermassive again, and try to get themselves in a position to be #1 in the group.
One thing we're also keeping an eye on, remember, kind of back to what the desk said, Talkers, the guy who, of all the people on the Red Canids, the one who hasn't really met those expectations the same way people were looking for him to. They want to see him step up here on day number 3 because, like we said, the Canids are currently only 2nd in their group. They need to take down Supermassive or have Supermassive drop a game to somebody else, and then they still possibly have chance of a tiebreaker match as well.
Yeah, if Supermassive wins their next 2 games, the worst case scenario for them is they have to play a tiebreaker losing to when they lose to Red Canids. So they would have to lose 2 out of 1 match, or sorry, yeah,
2 out of 1 match.
2. They'd have to lose 2 out of 2.
Well, the Red Canids are going to have to get through Rampage first. Like we mentioned at the start of this introduction, this was a close match last time around. Rampage almost came back and won this. For those of you who may not remember or may not have seen the games on day number 1, Rampage was actually pushing onto the Nexus turrets of the Red Canids, and Robo's Darius comes out to save the day with a triple kill.
Oh, yeah.
Stopping them from going for that push.
Oh, it was insane.
And the best part was he didn't even get the dunk, the reset the way that he wanted it, but he still just held the line.
Oh, no, it's Dogma.
Oh, we've got the Pugma in this game. Yeah, look at that.
Oh, boy.
The new Kog'Maw skin where he arfs every time he shoots an auto attack with his W on.
His R is a tennis ball.
Yeah.
Comes down from the sky.
The E also, he spits out a slobber trail on a tennis ball. Yeah.
And that skin is the thing of nightmares.
Protect the dog.
And that's exactly what this is for Rampage. They didn't get something like the Shen or the Gragas, but they have the Tahm Kench top for some protection. And this looks like Rampage kind of have 2 parts of composition simultaneously. They have protection for Yutori Moyashi in the bottom lane with the Lulu, and they have the Tahm Kench, but then they have an aggressive mid and an aggressive jungler here for Tussle. So trying to at least make something happen early to possibly fuel their mid-late game, but they're going to need a decent amount of damage because keep in mind, Red, they do have a LeBlanc that's going to heal herself. They have a Fizz that's going to try to split push in 1-3-1, and then they have this Ivern that always is just so frustrating to play against if you don't have enough damage.
Yeah, and when you're up against somebody like an Ivern, somebody who can steal your camps away very effectively, counter jungle effectively, hard to kill, that could really be a thorn in the side of the enemy jungler. And on a team like Rampage, where Tussle's the guy that you're looking at to make the plays, where Tussle's the guy that makes everything happen.
They're walking up for level 2. Hook.
Ooh, it was right on the mark. Just a hair shy of finding its way onto Dara.
And Talker's already having a good lane phase for himself so far. We're only a few waves in, but having that much damage onto the Ahri early on means you're just looking for another W and then another Q to back that up.
Ramune, though, you can see the orb glowing green there. I mean, he had the heal charged up from the passive. Also still has 2 potions left. Finally going to take a sip out of that first one.
And look at that, exactly. The priming ability there, the chain hitting level 3 first, because Talkers has priority in the lane, had a little more push going for him. Got the right trade. Talkers, there was some criticism that he was the weaker Link right now. And they have the sub Yoda, who is now available to play after the 3-game suspension. But if Talkers is stepping up and having a good game for himself, you know, granted, we're only 3 minutes in, it's hard to tell.
Keystone Masteries are on the bottom part of your screen. You can see Grasp the Undying taken for both of the top laners, that extra laning power and trading potential.
Yeah, well, you'll see Fizz go for either the Fervor or going for the Grasp. Didn't hit Robo there with the W. Evie's going to take a decent amount of damage here, but he's going to actually trade back. Doesn't have the Devour. But he's going to chase him. He's going to chase him down.
Start things off. Evie, though, he knows what's going to happen here. Trying to make the plays down. First blood goes over to Tom Kench.
He might know how to know it, though.
Can't get up there in time to keep this one saved, and there comes the stun. Evie might be able to make it too. Napon forced to flash. Disaster for the Cannons in the top part of the map.
The Devour's 90 mana. He had 54. Evie almost got 2. What was I saying about you've got to know what this Tom Kench can do? It's actually so powerful.
That's the power of the pocket pick.
I talked to some players, and you know there is a lot of validity to the statement of surprise picks are great because they don't know what the hell to do against it. They don't know how to play against that champion. Let's see this again here, because Evie actually doesn't have much mana, but he gets the auto attacks off, gets the Q for the stun. Doesn't have Devour just yet, but this is all just attack, attack, attack. Flash. So much damage there. That looks like it was another Grasp of the Undying proc, and Yutori, super low, has to blow the heal there.
Has to spin the heal to make sure he's not going to drop to that Ignite. Diud trying to prevent that heal from being more effective than possible, potentially set up a kill, but too much protection coming through from Dara, who also spends his exhaust in that trade, so it's a 2-for-1 summoner spell exchange here in the bottom lane between these guys. Advantage for Red Canids there, 39 to 33 in terms of the farm, so BRTT going up ever so slightly, and things going according to plan for the Red Canids, getting BRTT out to a good start.
So he definitely has pressure in that bottom lane. We were talking about how the Thresh, you do have to play it well, because otherwise it's just this Lulu dominating the lane phase with auto attacks. Here comes the Ivern.
Well, not going to make anything happen there. Napon not really meeting with a lot of success right now. Remember, talking about this guy and what we learned about him coming into this play-in stage, he's regarded as a player who may not be the one who wins the game through fantastic mechanical outplays, but instead he's someone who gets a lot done through his creative pathing.
Yeah, the pathing means a whole lot for Napon. And they banned a lot of junglers and set him up for this. You were expecting kind of the first pick from Tussle to be the Ivern, but understanding Tussle's style where he wants to outplay you, is one of the most mechanically sound members of this team, it does make sense for him to try and go for a damaging champion.
It's also the way the team works. This is the guy who makes everything happen. This is the guy who, even in the game we saw,
it's really
where
Pulse.
he was, yeah, he's the guy who just gets everything done. They depend on him. The backbone that this team has, and right now off to a 0-0 and 0 start so far, so hasn't really gotten active just yet. BRTT and Diud continuing to be pushed up here in the bottom lane, making that CS lead very intimidating at this point in time, 59 to 41.
And Robo, Dark Seal early dagger? I don't like the dagger pickup there.
I guess he just didn't have money for anything else.
He got 300 gold? Yeah, maybe.
You could buy a brown boot, I guess.
Yeah, I would actually like boots, but I guess this means he's going towards his Trinity Force in some way, shape, or form. But it's definitely the worst part to buy early on, especially for Fizz.
Yeah, you don't want that thing. You want the sheen as quickly as you can possibly get it. But of course, the Sapphire Crystal does cost 350 gold. So if you don't have the money, you don't have the money. That's just the way it works out.
So is life.
Just the way things work sometimes. But at least he's not dying to the Tom Kench anymore.
Well, that's true. That's true. Very true. Yeah, once it happens, you realize, okay, let's not mess around with this guy. And he had great health the whole time, too. So you really have to do enough damage to this Tom Kench, especially when you're a champion that doesn't have flash. If you're trading as Fizz, you're probably using your Q and maybe using your E. But now, I think Evie's at that point where his tongue lash could be doing a lot of damage. Has 4 points into it. That thing, the 60% slow for 2 seconds will allow you to catch up real easily.
Tussle moving into the enemy jungle, looking around for Champs or Napon, whichever one he can find.
Look at this Talkers. We talked about how well he was doing early.
But
First
now,
few backs have come through, and it looks like it's been an issue. And look at that.
Tussle almost going to be caught out and brought down here. There's still
Daisy?
to find a little bit more on this one. Daisy with another auto attack, not quite finding the success he's looking for.
And that's semi-global from Evie to actually cut him off.
Evie going in there just saying, stay the hell away from my jungler.
Yep. That's going to be Talker's backing, gets himself his Null Magic Mantle or his Negatron Cloak. And yeah, this was just a trade where, yeah, went all in there onto Talkers. And this is that matchup where it actually used to be a worse matchup for LeBlanc because of the fact that, oh, nice. Got
and Talkers actually, when he repositioned to his distortion mark, he dodged the second half of the Q from the Ahri.
Yeah.
Could have been even lower.
Could have been worse for him, exactly. But like I was saying, this used to be a historically worse matchup because the Ahri Charm used to stop move blocks, used to stop you in the middle of your distortion. So if you were trying to hit her with W for damage, she, if you were fast enough, would be able to actually hit you with the charm and stop you. But now, just hits, you'll take the damage still, but it's still a bad matchup for the LeBlanc early, and now they'll both have sustain. The LeBlanc has the teleport for the 1-3-1 later, and it's the Gunblade build that'll be coming out here.
Speaking of builds, both AD carries clearly going to be going for that Blade of the Ruined King first, but it's worth pointing out the BRTT did want to go ahead and take a pit stop, grab some fully completed Berserker Greaves on that path.
Yeah, I've actually seen some, it's mostly AD carries that are super into their mechanics and really like to outplay and dodge things that'll be able to pick that up. And yeah, BRTT looking for the solo gold. They've actually lane swapped this to the top side. It looks like Rampage was saying, we're having none of this lane. This is not going well for us. They're down 30 CS. Swap them to the top, give up first turret to kind of avoid the rest of this lane phase.
Hometown crowd excited to see their boys grab that turret first blood, putting all the gold on the man who can carry.
Exactly, and now they have tempo in the bottom side. They have a decent minion wave here. And now Rampage are actually going to be much slower on this push.
Rampage are trying to do as much damage as they can with having Evie tank it, but they're just not going fast at all. The tier 2 is going to drop on the bottom
Also
side.
got found.
Also getting himself discovered in the enemy jungle. Talker's going to be locking him down. Surely going to be a death sentence on that one. Red Cannons getting themselves on the board.
And it looked like Tussle was just waiting for Talkers. And,
Talkers is now probably going to be brought down in retaliation here, trying to get himself away. Evie wants to chase this one down, able to find the stun. Robo coming in from behind, a big old bite out of LeBlanc. Takes her out.
Gotta watch out though, here comes the reinforcements. Hook on Evie.
Robo's still looking to make things happen. Evie gonna be caught out. That Kinch is benched. Ramune having to run away from Daisy. Evie falls, Robo barely gets himself away.
And another macro blunder from Rampage. We talked about it at the beginning of the day. This team, they'll get some kills, they'll get going, but their macro play is just not on that international level yet. Rampage gave up 2 turrets for 1 there, didn't have the right push, and Red have about almost a 2,000 gold advantage. Tussle comes around, picks a fight, but the thing is Tussle saw that he was there. He had that ward in the bush, and he was waiting to like pounce onto Talkers, but then he gets picked up. Talkers has to blow his distortions to even get in there, and then Evie with a tongue lash walks up, eats him, gives him the auto afterwards. But because of that root at the last second there, and it went through, even though the Talkers threw out the chain and got devoured, the chain still goes off, roots Evie, and so Evie stayed long enough that Dude shows up and gets the hook. So just kind of a game of seconds there where Red were able to capitalize off of Roam.
Red Cannon's happy to have that 2,000 gold lead, be this far ahead at 12 minutes into the match, taking out that tier 2 for free.
Yeah, and let's look at where their gold actually is. It's on BRTT, up 1,100 gold right now over his lane opponent because of the CS. The guy's at 10 per minute. He's gotten those 2 turrets, first turret gold all to himself in the bottom side of the map. And then across the board, it's kind of like 300 gold advantages here and there in mid and in bot. But it's really BRTT has the bulk of that gold.
You can see the Red Cannons now sort of hanging around this bottom part of the river near the Dragon Pit. That could be something that comes on their radar here soon now with turret first blood out of the picture with the trade that happened going through. That was really satisfying to watch.
Oddly satisfying things, man. Takes me back to Lulu wave clear back in Challenger years ago.
That juicy wave clear moment as now the rest of Red Canids moving their way over towards his mountain strike.
Robo caught.
Robo, though, not where he wants to be against Tussle.
Yeah,
But still able to walk himself away as a big slobbery tennis ball falls from the sky and doesn't find its way onto him. Napon and BRTT should have no issue securing this Drake for themselves. Don't even need to smite it. Napon will get that last auto attack, and that's Drake number 1 for the Red Canids.
And Red Canids are in a really good position now. They have the 1-3-1 with the double teleports. LeBlanc builds the Gunblade, and it looks like Abyssal Scepter also in his future. So he's actually going for just the Hex Tech Revolver, not looking for the sustain just yet. And there's a teleport from Evie.
Robo pulled to safety.
I think he stopped it, yeah.
Keep fine. Evie's TP is canceled, and Rampage just can't find the opportunity.
And now Talkers gets to roam around in the bottom side. The 1-3-1 when there are 2 turrets down becomes really lethal because Talkers will shove out that bottom wave to past where the tier 2 tower was, and now it gives him inside track to roam mid, to get some damage, to actually even flank or potentially go for kills.
Fielding the T2 early. Never a trade you want to be making. Unfortunately for Rampage, that's the reality they're in right now.
Yeah, sometimes it's good when you have like the Kog'Maw in that lane and you're able to put him there to just farm, or you have like a scaling top laner like a Fiora or something. But this is a Tahm Kench that's now just kind of bashing his head against the top lane that has Fizz in it, and then your Ahri gets pulled to the other side of the map by a LeBlanc that has teleport. So these 1v1s are not very favorable for Rampage. I say the Tahm Kench probably is still in their favor, considering he has mixed resistance now, but this LeBlanc one will cause a lot of pressure as soon as you see Talkers complete that Gunblade, which he's kind of omitted for the time being.
Going for the Abyssal Scepter first instead. Allowing extra magic damage to be done by both himself and his teammates. Fizz closing in on that Trinity Force right now as well. Once he's got that up and running, he's going to be a much more capable duelist. Might not have to show so much fear towards Evie showing up.
I don't know. Tahm Kench is super deceptive in melee matchups. I feel like he beats almost all bruisers in melee matchups because they try to fight him, and he's like, what are you doing? He's got a 2-second slow. He's got a 1.5-second stun. It's a 70% slow for 2 seconds, so he gets all these autos on you.
On-hit health-based damage,
yeah,
and 2 health bars.
The tankier he gets, the more damage he's going to be dealing. And then the W, just the percent HP damage. He's got it rank 3 right now, and it's 26% of their health as magic damage.
Rampage smart to pull that blue buff away as Dude was looking to potentially steal it there with the death sentence. Red Canids now trying to apply a little bit of extra pressure to the mid lane. Bottom lane still just going to be left to its own devices. They know they've got nothing left to find there, so they'll just leave Rampage to have to answer the wave as it slow pushes.
Yep, and now it's siege time for the Red Canids. They have that Mountain Drake, which is perfect. It's exactly the Drake you want with this composition. I would say it's the best one. And now they're going to put some bushes up. You can hide in them and throw hooks. You can throw chains, and you can just output the damage here onto these turrets.
A little bit more will seal the deal, but they won't take it down just quite yet.
Yeah, but top lane gets shoved in. Evie with a strong point, the guy who has the 2 kills on the team, not going to be able to actually be a part of this action. So the gold that they had accrued in the top side of the map for Rampage kind of gets held up. Look at this, Talkers. Ramune blowing the ulti to try to chase.
Ramune without an ult, he's going to be a significantly lower threat value than he would be with it up, though. He's still on the flank here. Death sentence finding its way onto Ramune. Fish comes out. Ramune going to be Wild Growth, trying to keep himself alive. Not going to be able to do it. Robo finding kill number 1. Evie going to be taking a bite out of Dude, but is it going to be enough? Still walking himself away. Brought down by Tussle. Robo now back into the fight on his own. Evie so low. Evie is gone. Yutori has to try to escape, but the root baller finds its mark. Yutori is in the ground, and Tussle will follow. 4 dead on the side of Rampage, and the Canids have found their mark.
Robo running after Dara, but that's going to be another turret there. That'll be 4 for the Red Canids after a great team fight.
1 for 4, plus a tier 2, plus the tier 1 before it. Red Canids, you could not ask for a better result.
Yeah, Napon really with a great root caller there, and everybody else following up. The hook from Dude to start it off, Talkers with the chain, Ramune has flash, doesn't get a chance to use it there, and then they're using so much to get Dude. They're trying to get revenge for the kill on the support. Tussle blows his flash for that, now it's too far forward. Robo gets the kill there, but then the root onto the root caller, and then Robo's in again, goes into melee range, and then they're able to pick up Tussle because it puts him right next to him as they get the turret. really well played there from Red. With all of these roots and CCs, the pick potential of this 1-3-1 composition is huge.
4-1 and 2 now on Robo's Fizz, who was a huge benefactor in that fight.
I think he's been playing the best out of the Red Candid members. You think back to his Jarvan game, kind of iffy at the start, but still got a counter kill on the top Olaf, and then he was ready to go. And yeah, you can't take that. He gets one. Tussle gets one for his troubles.
Now, throwback to day number 1. Remember, the Red Canids did have a very solid start in that game and then sort of threw it away.
Yeah, Baron, always a very powerful comeback tool.
Even though they're looking strong in this game, we want to see them finish strong as well. Robo going to be taking some pretty extreme damage there from Tussle, hopping himself over the wall with the playful Trickster. Oh, back in to be unstoppable. Gets a dark passage out. That was stylish.
You can see him on the player cam with the fist pump. He knows what just happened. The guy is sitting on 10 stacks on his Dark Seal. Where's the Magi's, bro?
Might as well at this point. 5-1 and 2 on this Fizz, 100% KP. The man's a monster. He's having a fantastic start to day number 3.
I thought he was Robo top in the first day, but now this is Robo top 2, dude, because it's better than the first.
Robo top 2, revenge of Robo top.
Revenge. I mean, Red Canids went 2-1. The guy definitely wants to pop off here in front of his home crowd. He's been having
He wants there to be a part 3.
Yeah.
And he goes on and continues to play in round 2 of the MSI Play-In stage.
Like we said, only the #1 team from each group will move forward, and Supermassive seem to be the big team in the way of the Red Canids at the moment, who right now have been doing a good job this game.
That is what is so different about this part of this tournament, about where we're at right now. We're so used to seeing groups of 4 where the top 2 move on. That second place spot doesn't mean anything right now. Second gets the same reward fourth does.
You're first loser.
Yeah, you're the first person on the plane to go home.
Yeah, but if you're the Red Canids, you're already home.
All right, I guess you're not getting on the plane.
Yeah, no plane.
They don't even want to be thinking about that.
Exactly.
They want to be the first person going on further to play against either the Flash Wolves or Team Solo Mid.
That's right. That is not already decided. That would be drawn between those two.
But going into that, you want to make sure that you have as strong of a showing against these other play-in teams as you can, so that you can be an intimidating opponent, so that nobody's going to look at you and be like, oh yeah, this is just going to be easy, don't worry about it. Look at that stat right there. Red Canids with the lead at 20, 16-0. That's just 2017 CB-LOL split.
And keep in mind that Red Canids were the #2 team during the regular season, and INTZ was actually the #1 team. So 16-0 with at 20 leads means that these guys know how to close those games out against the rest of the field in CB-LOL. Nobody has really been able to capitalize on any mistakes or throws from Red during that time.
The RTT putting a lot of these little stings into this turret.
Yeah, but he's got Dude waiting for the lantern back. You can see just kind of edging back every now and then, like, all right, I'm ready to get you out of there. Kind of providing him with the escape tool so he can walk up, be confident. Well, I guess I think Robo's next item here looks like a Wit's End, potentially. And nice
wow,
hook!
What a hook!
And he's out of there immediately. He's like, I'm having none of that. Trade Flash for Flash.
That gets Wild Growth and Flash.
And now, Red Canids, they're in a great spot. We talked about the 1-3-1. They're looking for Evie. Robo wants revenge.
Evie going to be locked down by these chains. Robo not really afraid in this 2v1. Trying to get himself back, waiting for the thick skin to expire. Decides to peel away, considering Rampage has reinforcements en route.
Yeah, but now they pull them apart. You saw 2 people on that bottom side. Time to start pushing top again. Viewed in position not to make an aggressive play, but make a defensive one to get BRTT out.
Tori buffed up with the help picks, but not really capable of doing anything with that except holding the line here at the turret. Down 170 to 230 CS, a 60 farm lead for BRTT, who's had a great game for himself.
Yeah, absolutely massive game for him and Dude in the bottom side of the map. And right now, Talkers just needs a little bit more gold before he gets himself his Hex Tech Gunblade. You can see he's actually clearing the Raptors. They're giving over to him. I believe a wave or 2 more will allow him to have it. But the 1-3-1 is already online for this team of the Red Canids. And when you're ahead, 1-3-1, one of the most effective ways to close the game out, because Rampage always have to answer with superior numbers at some point, but then you're losing a part of the map. And I feel like that is such a good strategy against Rampage, who have historically in these matches sucked at the macro game.
It's been one of their weaknesses. It's not been something that you would look at the team and think this is going to work. And right now, the macro game is going the way of Red Canids as they're on Baron. Got a line of brush set up, so it's hard to see what HP it's going to be at just walking into the pit. And BRTT, Napon, and Daisy are going to 2.5 ban this.
Yeah, they have no way to check it either. Blue Trinket down for Yutori. And that's the snowball we're talking about. That's a 22-minute, 47-second Baron for the Red
Two
Cannons.
people and a Daisy. That was quiet and clean, exactly the way Red Cannons needed it to be, and now they have a huge pushing and playmaking opportunity.
Yeah. Red Cannons. This is systematic. This is what they want.
This is the way you want to win a game. This is the way you look impressive in the play-in stage, is by winning a game like this and not just out teamfight fiestaing your opponent.
Yeah. The only part that really is the blemish is that first blood on the top side where Evie ends up getting killed, or sorry, ends up getting a kill onto Robo, who didn't respect the damage output. But seems like he learned, seems like he played it safe until he got to his items, bought the wit's end, and is respecting his one-on-one matchup, and right now is on the bottom side of the map, gaining a push advantage against the Tom Kench.
Push continues, the brush is there for protection, the final tier 2 turret falls on the side of Rampage, and now the Red Cannons are tasked with attacking the base itself. They got the wave pushed up there on the bottom side, Robo taking care of that split push, while the rest of the team rotates through the top side of the jungle of enemy territory, just setting down a lot of vision, making sure that if anybody walks into that area, they're on top of it.
Yeah, the wave clear for Rampage sucks in the first place. It's just Ramune, and Ramune will most likely have to be dealing with the mid lane. And now Tussle, you can see he's actually hanging out towards the bot, but that means you have 2-on-1 on the bot side. That means it's a 2-on-3 in favor of the Red Cannons here on the top, and they're just gonna poke away at this turret.
No worries whatsoever. Continuing to put these auto attacks on it, and BRTT is able to break this base open 24 minutes in.
And this is the slow and steady part of the game. Red Cannons want this to be at this pace. It's fast for 24 minutes, and Talker's caught again.
Good catch onto the enemy mid laner by Tussle and Ramune, getting themselves that kill and sort of stopping the momentum that the Cannons have built up for themselves, but not before the second inhibitor turret falls. Robo is still going on this.
And that's exactly what I was talking about with the 1-3-1. When you're ahead and they have to 2-on-1 one of your members, then you get a turret. You get more gold out of the trade. If you do that over and over again, the enemy can win in kills. That's fine and dandy, but you will win in turrets, and you will be able to pull them apart.
Said it on day number 1. League of Legends is a game that's about killing the enemy nexus, about killing the enemy inhibitors. The kills are just a way to do that.
Yes, they are part of the method to get there, but really it's
They're
not
the journey, not the destination.
Exactly.
The destination's that juicy 50 gold you get for killing the enemy nexus.
Yeah.
And right now, Red Cannons are looking like a team that should be able to find that objective very soon. 10,000 gold up, 25 minutes into this game. One Infernal Drake and Mountain Drake already under their belts. Another Infernal Drake now live, and you can see multiple members of the team heading down towards that right now.
They're just hanging out on that side. That's the next objective for them. But now you get to play the 1-3-1 and actually do it in that order of 1-3-1. Robo top, put your LeBlanc bottom, put your turret siegers, your Varus, your Ivern in the mid, because that's that turret that's left. And now you just start pulling them across the map, getting more and more damage on these turrets.
And remember
And
that
inhibitor.
top and bottom have exposed inhibitors, so even a little bit of firing time can bring those down.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about, where now you can put Fizz top, you put your 3 members mid, and then you put your LeBlanc bottom. Get vision on whichever side you want to play to, which I assume would be kind of the bottom side here, because that I think the LeBlanc wins your matchup a little better than your Fizz wins the matchup. So you want to go between the LeBlanc lane and your lane in the mid. So dude playing back, waiting for the top lane to crash and the bottom lane to crash. And Rampage, so let's just talk from like a basic standpoint here. How do you beat a 1-3-1 composition when they're pulling you across the map? You gotta have hard engage. You gotta have a way to engage onto the 3 when they're managing side waves, so that when you pull in Ramune and you pull in your side laners who are supposed to be dealing with the 1s, the 2 1s that are off on the side, you get a quick, swift engage, and boom, you're in there. You have no engage on Rampage. Who's gonna start that fight? You don't have anything that's got that engage, like a Jarvan, etc. You have a Tom Kench who can kind of flank with an ultimate, and then you have a slow from Tussle, maybe a charm from Ramune, but you don't have the surefire way, like a hook, to actually get somebody guaranteed.
This team's strategy for playing from behind is turtle with Kog'Maw and hope he hits 6 items.
Yep. and hope that the enemy doesn't have a way to force the issue. But unfortunately, with macro play, the CB LOL team, Red Cannons, look like they do actually have a good understanding of what they need to be doing right now.
Robo doing a good job just wasting time for both Evie and Tussle. Tussle coming around from behind, trying to get on the Robo
he's the
yet
fish
again.
bait.
Fish comes out.
He's definitely the fish bait. Now, they're all running over to the side. Bottom lane, you still have Talkers getting some decent damage onto the Ahri. You can see huge chunk there. He's actually going to send Ramune most likely back unless he's going to wait. And it's just this attack on this turret.
Ramune trying to hold this as long as he can. And now
Robo.
Robo's back onto the inhib. Every single time that you spend even a second pulling bodies away from one of these lanes, the other lane is getting hit.
And that's what you need to do, because the lane, your minions will crash, and if they're trying to 2v1 somebody, boom, walk up, get some damage on a different side. But now you need to understand relative where everybody else is. This is the engage that they have, but whoop, they're out.
Rampage is trying to do it. They end up getting into the back line, but they get a flash, and that is it.
Oh.
Now the Chain of Corruption finding its way out there. Dara going to be locked down, eaten up
Robo.
to safety by Evie.
Robo
Robo's
caught.
still off to the side, trying to get that inhibitor. He does find it before he falls, but the kill onto him means that the full fight from Red Cannons is not going to be as scary as it could be. They will take 2 inhibs, and trading that for Robo is A-OK in the home team's book.
I will take that any day of the week.
Oh, you killed my Fizz. Rats.
Oh, no.
I guess we'll just take these inhibs. Darn.
Darn. With Baron coming up in 45 seconds here, absolutely. That's what macro play is all about. It's 5 to 7 in kills, but it's 9 to 1 in turrets. This is what League of Legends at the highest level can start to look like when you out macro play people. And this is what solo queue kind of suffers from, is people don't want to have the macro play. It's like, oh, it's boring to have.
You can't make a montage out of that.
Exactly. It's like, oh, it's boring to have to, walk forward with the Fizz and then walk backward, and you're literally just dancing within like maybe 500 feet back and forth. But that's the almost uncounterable play for your opponent, and if they do counter it, there's a punish. Whereas if you're just being dumb, grouping up in 5, running it down mid,
that's your sombrero and getting ready for the fiesta.
Woo! Yeah, dude. Sometimes the fiesta is not what you want. You want to have a siesta. You want to just take a nap. You want to just be on top of the uncounterable play. It might be boring, might not be flashy, but it's going to get you that win.
Well, honestly, you can't even say that this is one of those resident sleeper type of games, because we're not even 30 minutes into the match. We just are now. We just ticked the 30-minute mark.
I will
and
agree
Red
with
Cannons
that.
is closing this out very quickly and very effectively,
Yeah.
even though they're doing it safely at the same time.
That's right. It's the safety. The Baron taken at about 22 minutes the first time. That's exactly what you want. And now what Red is doing is, all right, wait for sweepers. We'll sweep, and then we'll, go back to the Baron. When that bottom lane with super minions starts pushing in, they'll be able to actually go for this Baron play, because they want to pull people away. And look at that. They're sitting in the bush, kind of making you think they're on it. This is a bait. They're looking for a play. I've heard a hook land.
Oh, Tussle. Talker's getting the burst. Robo completes his TP. Evie does not.
Yep. This will be Baron and a mid lane push here.
They two-man this last time. They can do it again.
Yep. Evie has no teleport here. He used it and canceled it. And Red Cannons are looking to put the finishing touches on this game.
They've got a 5v4 for the next 25 seconds or so. One inhibitor standing in the enemy base. Pushing down mid and top at the same time, just keeping that split push pressure alive. Even though the inhib's already down, enchant up the minion wave, make it even stronger, make it push that much faster, and give your opponents that much more to worry about, that much more pressure that they're going to be choking under.
And this team of the Red Cannons, even though it's a 1-3-1 team, they all have 6 to 7 kill participation. They are working as a team and collapsing at the right moments. And Evie
chains into death sentences, into burst coming down. Redemption going to be channeled. Evie having to run away. Utori forced to pop the flash. Tussle having to bail out as soon as he's respawned and back into the fights. And the Nexus turrets will fall. The Nexus going to be going down next. There is no defense today. And Rampage will fall yet again. The hometown champs from CB LOL.
Rampage moved to 0-4. They cannot make it to round 2, but the Red Cannons alive and well, 3-1 after that. GG.
Keeping their dreams alive for potentially making it to round 2, making a hell of a statement game here to kick off day number 3. Looking incredibly strong. The game ending with only 13 kills, but a convincing 13,000 gold lead for the Brazilian team.
And that's what you want to see. You don't want to see these dirty games back and forth. You want to see a macro domination from a team that could potentially move forward, because that means they can compete with the likes of North America, the Flash Wolves, and possibly even Supermassive today.
They will have that matchup to be concerned about later on in the day as we get through the other matches, but for now, they can breathe a quick sigh of relief, be glad that they were able to take down Rampage so quickly and so cleanly. That's the last time they got to play them.
Yep.
Each team plays each other team in the group twice, so they have 2 more games to play today, and of course, if they can find wins in